Hi, and welcome back to the mini farm. Today I'm going to share 3 of my favorite holiday appetizers. We made stuffed mushrooms that are incredible, spinach deviled eggs, these are my husband's favorite, and a triple cheese and bacon cheese ball that looks like a festive Christmas tree. So if you want to see how to make these for your holiday get together or just to hang out as a family and nosh on the side for a fun night, then just keep watching. But first, please give this video a thumbs up if you like videos like this, and click the red subscribe button below. If it's already great, thank you so much for being here. I love having you here and really enjoy our chats in the comment section. Without further ado, here's 3 festive holiday appetizers. For this recipe, you're going to need cream cheese, sour cream, cheddar, thyme, garlic powder, Worcestershire sauce, salt and fresh cracked black pepper, red onion, parsley, and bacon. You can also do walnuts if you want to do a vegetarian version. And to decorate, you need some kind of bell peppers or tomatoes. To get started, go ahead and put your cream cheese in the bottom of the bowl. If it's closer to room temperature, it's better because it's easier to kind of smooth it out. And just kind of break it up just a little bit, smooth it out. Then we'll move it aside and we'll get started on our other ingredients. So we need 1/4 of this onion, and we want to dice it super thin. Then I'm going to take some parsley and chop it up pretty thin too. I'm going to take the leaf portion if I can. You can save these stems and the extras from all your veggies for stock. I do have a video on that if you want to see it. I will link it in the little eye above. And then I'm going to just dice up 1 strip of bacon in there, really fine to mix in with it as well. Now I'm going to add in all of these ingredients. So I'm going to start with the sour cream. And mix that in. Just kind of cut it in and swoop. This is going to make it a lot easier to work with too. Then the shredded cheese. Now add in the Worcestershire sauce, the thyme and garlic powder, black pepper, and the rest of the other ingredients other than the salt. The salt goes in at the very end after we taste it to see how much it needs. So the bacon, parsley, and onion can go in at this point. Just mix it in really, really well. Okay, once it's all thoroughly mixed together, we can move it to our plate and start decorating. So for that, I'm just going to kind of put it out in a triangular form, and then I'll smooth it out with the back of my spatula. Now we have like a thick kind of tree shape, and I did use the back of the spatula to kind of give it some ridges and stuff in there. Now we can decorate our tree. I'm going to start off with the star on top of the tree, and for that I'm using a yellow bell pepper, but you could use a piece of cheese here. And I made it easier on myself with a cookie cutter, but you can do this with a knife. And so I just kind of pressed it in and then cut around the edges and then smoothed out a few of the edges a little bit further with a knife after I was done. And I had my star. Then I went through and diced the rest of the bell peppers to create the little ornaments. I'm going to sprinkle it with a little bit of dry parsley on top just to kind of finish it off. Then I'm just going to add some fun multi-seed crackers around the sides. And that's the Christmas tree appetizer. Let's move on to the next one. For the stuffed mushrooms, we're going to need mushrooms, bacon fat or butter, 4 ounces of softened cream cheese, salt, pepper, Either Italian seasoning, or if you don't have that, thyme will work. Parsley, almond flour, Parmesan, garlic, and bacon. The first thing we're going to do is set our oven to 400. Let it preheat while we get everything else ready. To get started, I'm going to clean off the mushrooms. And to do that, I'm just going to take a damp paper towel and wipe it off. Once I've cleaned it, you're going to break off the stem, put the stem in one bowl, and the mushroom caps in another. Okay, now I'm going to finely chop these stems. And I'm going to chop up bacon. Then I'm going to pull off a few sprigs of parsley and chop those up too. And since I have it, and this is totally optional, I'm going to do another quarter of an onion for this recipe since we used it for the earlier one. Some nice caramelized onion flavor will really enhance the filling. Okay, this is the same pan I cooked the bacon in earlier. I took out all of the bacon fat and then put back in 2 tablespoons in here. And I'm going to saute the onions. If you don't have the onions and you're using it as an optional step, then you can skip right to the mushrooms. And I'm also going to add a little bit of salt and a little bit of freshly cracked black pepper. And just kind of let it go low and slow until the onions start to get translucent and caramelize. Okay, these onions are where I want them to be. So I'm going to go ahead and add the mushrooms in. And saute those in really well too. Okay, it's going to take a couple minutes for these to truly soften. I'm not going to add salt at this point again. Usually I would layer the flavors, but because of the bacon fat and the salted onions initially, I don't want this to get too salty. We're also going to add Parmesan later, which has a little bit of salt in it as well. So we're going to wait and we'll taste the filling all together to see if we need to add more salt later. But let these soften really well and then we'll go on to the next step. Just saute that in for about 30 seconds. It's still on medium heat. And then I'm going to add in my almond flour. You can use breadcrumbs here as well. Just toast that together. Garlic burns very quickly, so I always add that in at the very end. And that seems to be good. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the heat on this. And we'll move on to the next step. In a bowl, go ahead and add your cream cheese. And we're going to press it out like we did earlier for the other recipe. So using the back of my spatula, I'm just going to press it out. Okay, then I'm going to add in my bacon, Italian seasoning. So press these in together, mix them really well. Okay, now we're going to add in a little bit of the parsley. I'm going to reserve some for the garnish on top. 1/4 cup of freshly grated Parmesan. Mix that in. Now we can add in our sauté mixture. Okay, now we're going to mix this together one final time. Then we're going to taste it for salt and pepper and add that in as needed. Small taste. Mine needs just a little bit of salt and a lot of cracked pepper. So I would say I added about a 1/4 teaspoon of the salt and about a 1/2 teaspoon of the freshly cracked black pepper. Mix those in really well. You don't want clumps of seasoning in just one spot. And then we'll start to stuff our mushrooms. On a parchment lined cookie sheet, go ahead and put out your mushrooms. Okay, I'm going to give them a little bit of spray with some olive oil, a little bit of salt and pepper. Make sure you get the outsides of it. And I'm also going to give them a little bit more of that Italian seasoning, just a few cracks. I'm just going to scoop in small amount for each. I'll fill it in with a teaspoon each, and then I'll come back and fill more in with the rest of the mixture for the bigger ones. But you want to have at least 1 teaspoon for each one to start with. And just kind of loosely press it in. So I have a little bit left, so I'm filling in the bigger pieces that look like they could use a little bit more. And then just make sure the tops are kind of smoothed over a little bit. You don't want heaping piles on top of it, you just kind of want it pressed into the mushroom. Then top them off with a little bit more Parmesan each. Going to put it in the 400-degree oven that's been preheated for 20 minutes. For this recipe, you're going to need hard-boiled eggs, a red pepper for garnish, this is a sweet pepper, some spicy brown mustard or regular Dijon mustard, depending on how spicy you like your deviled eggs, apple cider vinegar, mayo, smoked paprika, salt and pepper, and some spinach. You're also going to need something to puree it all in. Okay, we're going to start by cutting the eggs in half and popping the yolks into the food processor. Okay, and then using some of the spinach leaves, start lining the outside of the plate and kind of filling in the inside like this. And as we make our way around, we can start putting the egg cups kind of on the outside like this. Let's keep going. Okay, this is what it looks like all arranged. Now let's get back to making the filling. For the filling, you need the egg yolks, the mayo, the spicy mustard, and then a teaspoon of the apple cider vinegar, salt and pepper, spinach for color. Okay, I'm also going to add a fresh squeeze of lime, which I didn't show earlier, but I just tasted it and it needs a little bit more fresh acidity to it. That's 1/4 of a lime that I squeezed in there. Scrape the sides, taste it one more time, and make sure that it's exactly where you want it to be. Okay, then I'm going to take the filling and put it in a piping bag or a piping tube. This is kind of a decorative tube filler. So I'm going to fill this up in here, and then we'll pipe them right into the egg whites. And then just pipe a little bit in to each egg cup. Here's what the deviled eggs finally look like. I have a couple pieces of bell pepper that I added to make look like a ribbon. And then I sprinkled them with some smoked paprika. And in the middle I piled up some baby carrots to nibble on. So we're going to enjoy these as a family and play some games tonight. And I hope you and your family enjoy these too. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. And if you haven't done so already, you can click on my face to subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye!